Welcome to the Learn English at Home community. I'm Jenny, your host. If you're looking to enhance your English listening and writing abilities, this episode is perfect for you. Today, I'll share real-life accounts and experiences to help you grasp English in day-to-day contexts. Listening to authentic conversations aids in learning natural phrases, while writing about them bolsters your memory and vocabulary. If you're joining us for the first time, we release videos daily to assist you in learning English. So let's dive right in. Making tough choices. Have you ever encountered a tough choice and had to decide between two alternatives? What actions did you take? How did you arrive at the best decision? Let me tell you about my friend Daniel. A few years back, Daniel held a secure position in his hometown as a manager in a small firm, and life was comfortable. However, one day he received an unexpected proposal, a chance to join a larger company in another city. The new position offered better pay, but required him to leave behind his family, friends, and everything he was accustomed to. Daniel spent days contemplating his options. He created a list of pros and cons. Remaining in his hometown signified stability, but moving suggested growth and a brighter future. He had discussions with his wife, Emma, who offered her unwavering support while encouraging him to reflect on what truly mattered to him. One evening, Daniel encountered his former school teacher, Mr. Smith, who imparted some wisdom. He remarked, "Sometimes the toughest decisions can lead to the most rewarding experiences. Don't hesitate to step out of your comfort zone." These words resonated with Daniel, and after careful consideration, he chose to accept the job. Initially, adapting to the new city was tough. The work was more intense, and he missed his family. But gradually he adjusted. He formed new friendships, honed his skills, and after several years, he secured an even better role. Looking back, he recognized that accepting that challenge was the best choice he ever made. A personal experience. Let me share a personal experience with you. A few years ago, I had to relocate for a job. I had spent a long time in one place, surrounded by loved ones, but the position I desired was in a different city, leading me to a choice: stay or relocate. Initially, I was thrilled about the new opportunity. It was a fantastic job, and the company promised growth. However, as time passed, anxiety set in. I had never lived far from my family, and I was uncertain about how I would adjust to a new environment. The idea of starting anew was both thrilling and daunting. Ultimately, I decided to take the plunge. The initial months were challenging. I missed my friends, and everything felt alien. I remember one time at the grocery store when I couldn't even locate the bread aisle. It was so surreal. Gradually, however, things improved. I made new friends, discovered my favorite cafes, and felt at ease in my new job. Reflecting on that experience, I'm truly grateful for that decision. While it was not easy, it taught me a lot about my resilience and strength in difficult circumstances. Embracing risks. Now, I'm more secure in making significant decisions, because I've learned that personal growth often requires taking risks. How about you? Have you ever relocated or embarked on something completely new? How did you feel initially? In retrospect, was it worthwhile? If you're still uncertain about making a major decision, that's understandable. Feeling unsure is normal. However, keep in mind that significant opportunities often arise from taking risks. This takes me to another story that profoundly influenced my perspective on challenges and new experiences. My cousin Michael's story. Michael has always had a deep passion for cooking. Since childhood, he enjoyed watching his mother prepare dishes in the kitchen, often standing beside her, inquiring about ingredients, spices, and various cooking methods. By adolescence, he was already a more skilled cook than many adults. His talent won admiration from family, but for Michael, cooking was more than a pastime, it was his aspiration. As he matured, he envisioned a future as a professional chef. However, there was a major hurdle. His father wished for him to pursue a different career. Mr. Johnson, his father, was a businessman who believed that a real career meant working in an office, wearing formal attire, and earning a stable income. Every time Michael expressed his desire to become a chef, his father would dismiss it, insisting, "Cooking is fine at home, but it's not a serious profession. You should study business and take over the family enterprise." Michael found himself caught between his aspirations and his father's expectations. He respected his father, yet he couldn't envision dedicating his life to something he didn't love. Conversely, his mother supported his aspirations, encouraging him with the words, "You only live once, Michael. If cooking brings you joy, you should pursue it." A transformative chance. One day, an opportunity arrived that changed everything. A renowned culinary school in a different city was hosting a cooking competition. The winner would be awarded a full scholarship to attend the school. It was a remarkable chance, but there was a hurdle. Michael had never competed in a professional environment before. He questioned his abilities. What if he fell short? What if he let his father down? Nevertheless, Michael made the decision to participate in the competition. He dedicated weeks to practicing, refining his dishes, and acquiring new techniques. He rose early and stayed up late, committed to giving his best effort. When the day of the competition arrived, he felt extremely anxious. As he entered the kitchen, he noticed other competitors, some with years of experience behind them. His hands shook as he started preparing his dish. The judges observed closely as he worked, tasting each dish meticulously and discussing the flavors and presentation. After what seemed like an eternity, the results were revealed. Michael held his breath when they announced his name as the winner. He could hardly believe it. That evening, he called his father to share the news. There was silence on the line. Then, to Michael's astonishment, his father said, "I may not have appreciated your passion before, but I now see that you have true talent. If this is your dream, I support you." Michael packed his belongings and moved to the new city to start culinary school. It was a challenge. He had to toil, adapt to a new atmosphere, and confront numerous obstacles. But ultimately, it was all worthwhile. Today, Michael is a professional chef running his own restaurant. And guess who visits frequently? His father, who is now his greatest supporter. This narrative imparts an essential lesson. Sometimes we must believe in ourselves, even when others do not. Taking risks can be intimidating, but if we neglect our passions, we may regret it down the line. So let me pose this question. Have you ever felt an urge to pursue something but were afraid to take the first step? Perhaps you wanted to learn a new skill, start a new job, or relocate. What holds you back? Is it fear, uncertainty, or the judgments of others? Conquering fear. I want to share another story, one that is somewhat different yet equally impactful. It's about my friend Jack. Jack and I met during a language exchange program while we were in college. At that time, Jack was studying law, while I was studying business. Jack was quite reserved. He didn't communicate much during class or breaks. Once we started conversing, I realized his English wasn't as proficient as that of some others in our group. However, despite his quiet demeanor, Jack had significant aspirations. He wanted to work for a prestigious international law firm, but there was an obstacle. His English language skills were impeding him. His law classes were conducted in English, and he struggled to grasp some of the legal terminology and complex texts. Even though he excelled in his understanding of law, the language barrier prevented him from fully articulating his thoughts. One day, during our conversation, Jack revealed his ambition. "I dream of working at a top law firm, Natasha," he said, "but I feel that my English will never meet the standard. I am not sure if I can achieve it." I saw the uncertainty in his eyes, and I recognized how much he yearned to succeed. It reminded me of my own moments of doubt about moving to a new city. I encouraged him by saying, "Jack, you've already taken the most challenging step. You're in this program, improving each day, and most importantly, you believe in your dream. That belief will propel you forward." Jack smiled, but he still appeared doubtful. "But Natasha, I don't feel self-assured when speaking in front of others or when explaining complicated matters in English. What if I mess up? What if they don't comprehend me?" His worries resonated with me. I was well aware of that feeling of fear, the anxiety of making errors while learning a new language. But I also understood that mistakes are part of the learning process, and that they contribute to our growth. I told him, "Jack, every error you commit is one step closer to achieving your goal. Don't stress about perfection. Instead, concentrate on making gradual improvements each day. You will get there." Jack's journey. Jack took my advice to heart. Each morning, he dedicated extra time to review legal terms and boost his English proficiency. He even began watching English television shows related to law, attempting to absorb the vocabulary and phrases that could aid his studies. Gradually, Jack's confidence grew. A year later, Jack graduated and was ready to apply for positions at law firms. His confidence had surged, and his English skills had improved considerably. He secured an internship at a prestigious international firm, and shortly after, he received a full-time job offer. I felt immense pride when he shared the news. More importantly, I was proud of the progress he had made. Jack faced his fears, worked diligently, and never abandoned his ambitions. Today, he works at the firm he has always aspired to join. When Jack recounted his success story to me, he remarked, "I never believed I could succeed. I assumed my English would be a hindrance, but I realized that with perseverance, you can accomplish anything." This tale illustrates that even when we feel inadequate or think our dreams are too ambitious, determination and hard work can create significant change. Jack refused to allow fear to defeat him. Instead, he confronted it and is now realizing his dreams. Your aspirations. Now, I want to ask you, what is one objective you've set for yourself that feels somewhat unattainable right now? Is it mastering English, embarking on a new career, or even traveling to another country? What prevents you from pursuing it? Frequently, our greatest obstacle is our self-imposed fear. We dread making mistakes, fear not being sufficient, or fear the judgments of others. Nevertheless, remember that we all start somewhere, and no one achieves perfection right from the beginning. The key is to continue moving forward, step by step. Therefore, consider this. What minor action can you take today that will bring you closer to your goal? Perhaps it's learning a new English word, conversing with someone in English, or merely jotting down your aspirations. Whatever it may be, take that step today and recognize that with each effort, you are getting nearer to realizing your ambitions. The strength of tenacity. Venturing beyond our comfort zones allows us to learn, develop, and uncover aspects of ourselves we may not have previously recognized. Jack overcame his fears, and you can too. No matter what your aspirations are, you already possess the necessary tools to fulfill them. It all begins with self-belief and taking that initial step. Have you encountered a seemingly insurmountable challenge? How did you approach it? What lessons did you gain from the situation? Most importantly, are you prepared to take that risk? Laura's narrative. Allow me to share another tale involving my dear friend, Laura. We have shared many years and experiences together, but one particular story stands out, imparting a key lesson about perseverance and self-belief. Since childhood, Laura aspired to become a photographer. She would capture images of everything: her family, nature, her friends, and even her pets. Her love for photography was evident to all who knew her. However, there was a catch. Her parents held traditional views. They advocated for secure professions such as doctor, lawyer, or engineer. When Laura expressed her desire to pursue photography, they did not support her choice, claiming it wasn't a legitimate career and urging her to focus on her studies for a more conventional path. Initially, Laura attempted to persuade them, showcasing successful photographers and arguing that photography could be a viable career. Yet their stance remained unchanged. They struggled to comprehend why she would prioritize her passion over a more traditional career. For a brief time, Laura began to doubt her worthiness. She pondered whether her dream was worth the fight and contemplated choosing a conventional career simply to please her parents. Nonetheless, deep within her heart, she knew she could not forsake her passion. During one cafe visit, Laura confided in me, expressing her confusion. "Natasha, I genuinely want to be a photographer, but I feel so adrift. My parents won't back me, and I'm not sure I have what it takes. What if I fail? What if I'm just wasting my time?" I saw her sadness, but her determination was also evident. I replied, "Laura, you mustn't live your life according to others' opinions. Follow what brings you joy. And keep in mind, every successful photographer faced obstacles. It's all part of the process. If you have faith in yourself and continue to work diligently, you'll reach your goals." Laura's path. Though she smiled, I could sense her lingering uncertainty. Nevertheless, she chose to take a risk. She enrolled in a photography course and began assembling her portfolio. Initially, she faced challenges. Mastering techniques was difficult, and her photographs did not meet her expectations. Rather than giving up, Laura persevered. Each day, she experimented with various lighting, subjects, and spent countless hours refining her images. It proved to be a tough journey, with frustration cropping up frequently. Despite this, Laura continued to push through. Sharing her work online gradually caught people's attention, and she received encouraging feedback. Eventually, she was invited to exhibit her photography at a local art gallery. The day of the exhibition was among the happiest moments in her life. After all her hard work, seeing her art displayed in a gallery was a lifelong dream fulfilled. Her initially skeptical parents attended the exhibition. Witnessing the admiration from attendees for Laura's work finally made them understand her passion. This moment was pivotal for Laura. She learned that success isn't instantaneous, but can be achieved through persistence, effort, and self-belief. Today, Laura is a professional photographer with clients across the globe and has launched her own photography business. Her parents, once doubtful, are now her greatest supporters. Reflecting on Laura's journey, I feel immense pride in her transformation. She refused to let others' opinions deter her from pursuing her passion. Instead, she had faith in herself and pressed on, even during tough times. That is a lesson we can all embrace. Overcoming fear. What about you? Is there something you've always wanted to pursue but have been too scared to attempt? It could be learning a new language, chasing a dream job, or even starting a fresh hobby. Often, the fear of failure or what others may think can prevent us from moving forward. But what if we chose to see those fears as part of our journey rather than obstacles? Let's reflect on this. How often have you encountered a challenge and thought you couldn't handle it? How frequently did you doubt your abilities or believe you weren't up to the task? Yet, when you persevered, you discovered that you were more resilient and capable than you had ever imagined. Laura's journey serves as a reminder that we all have the potential to chase our dreams, regardless of their size. The path may not always be straightforward, and there will be hurdles to overcome. However, if you're dedicated and keep pushing ahead, you'll be astonished at what you can accomplish. The toughest part might be taking that initial step, but once you do, everything else will start to align. Taking action. Whether it's mastering English, advancing in a career, or pursuing a passion, the crucial element is to persist. Continue to strive forward, even in challenging times, because like Laura, you might surprise yourself with your achievements. So, I want to ask you, what is something you've been putting off due to fear or uncertainty? What is one small action you could take today that would bring you closer to your dream? Perhaps it's simply signing up for a class or outlining a plan. Whatever it is, take that step today and maintain your faith in yourself. Tom's unexpected opportunity. I'm so glad you're enjoying these stories, and I want to share one more. It's about a man named Tom, whose experience perfectly illustrates how unexpected chances can arise when we least expect them, and how they can transform our lives. Tom and I crossed paths at a cafe around 5 years ago. He frequently visited the coffee shop I went to, and we exchanged friendly banter. Tom was an ordinary guy working as a data analyst in a corporate setting. He didn't have any specific ambitions outside work, and often appeared quite stressed, looking like someone trapped in life's routine. One day, I overheard him conversing with a friend about his dissatisfaction with his job. He expressed feeling stuck and seeing no prospects for advancement. It was the same monotonous tasks each day, just numbers and reports. And it made him feel like he was losing touch with himself. Tom was frustrated, feeling powerless over his future. Out of curiosity, I approached him after his conversation ended and asked how he was doing. Tom looked surprised but opened up about his job and his true desires. To my amazement, he revealed a long-held interest in photography. He enjoyed capturing nature and city landscapes during his free time. His friends always praised his photos, but he never considered it could become something more than a pastime. Initially, he seemed shy discussing it. "I don't know, Natasha," he said. "It's just a hobby I indulge in on weekends. I can't envision turning it into a career. Besides, I have a stable job. Switching paths seems too risky." I could sense his reluctance, and I was familiar with that internal struggle. Yearning to follow a passion but feeling as though there's too much at stake. I encouraged him. "You know, Tom, it's never too late to pursue what you love. You don't have to make a radical shift all at once. Start small and see where it leads. If photography truly excites you, explore it. Sometimes, the smallest action can lead to the most significant transformations. Tom didn't seem entirely convinced, but he assured me he would think it over. Weeks passed, and I didn't hear much from him. He continued visiting the cafe, maintaining his usual job, and still looking weary. Then one day I noticed a change. When he sat down, he had a camera with him. Curious, I asked, "What's with the camera, Tom? Are you on a photo shoot?" He smiled and said, "Actually, I've enrolled in a photography class. I decided to give it a go. It's not a big deal yet, but it's something I've always wanted to pursue." I could see excitement in his eyes. It was the first time in months he appeared genuinely enthusiastic about something. Tom began taking his camera everywhere, capturing images during breaks and on weekends. He practiced editing, experimenting with various techniques, and even launched a small photography blog to share his work. Initially, it was a side venture, something he did for fun, but as time passed, he grew increasingly serious about it. Soon, he began receiving requests for photo shoots from friends, family, and some local businesses. He was amazed at how rapidly things progressed. One day, he got a message from a local magazine interested in featuring one of his photos in an article about urban landscapes. That moment was a game changer for Tom. He realized that what began as a hobby was now attracting attention beyond his immediate circle. Months later, he made a pivotal decision that would alter his life. He chose to leave his corporate job and become a full-time photographer. I still remember his excitement when he shared the news. "Natasha, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. I never thought my hobby could evolve into my career. It's intimidating, but I feel alive again." Tom's experience perfectly illustrates how we sometimes hold ourselves back from pursuing our aspirations. Initially, he hesitated to make a leap. He was comfortable in his steady job, and the prospect of changing careers felt daunting. However, when he took that initial step to begin learning photography, it opened up an entirely new path for him. Today, Tom is a successful photographer, with his work featured in magazines, galleries, and exhibitions worldwide. Taking action. From Tom's story, I realized that we often get so wrapped up in what's considered practical or safe that we overlook our true passions. We tend to overanalyze and fret about future uncertainties, forgetting that the toughest step is usually the first. It's easy to convince ourselves that we lack time, are too old, or that it's too risky. However, sometimes a single, small choice can alter everything. I invite you to reflect. What's something you've always wanted to pursue but have hesitated to start? It could be a new interest, a different career, or anything that fills you with excitement. What's holding you back from taking that initial step? When we let ourselves dream and seek what excites us, it can revolutionize our lives. The scale of the dream doesn't matter. The crucial part is taking action. You don't need to make a giant leap right away. Just beginning with small, steady steps can lead to unexpected opportunities. Tom's story demonstrates that by following your passions, even the tiniest step can grow into something much larger. Had he never picked up that camera or enrolled in that class, he might never have discovered the potential for an entirely new career. Taking small steps. So consider this. What's one action you can take today that will bring you closer to your dream? Maybe it's dedicating an hour a week to practice something new or reaching out to someone who's already in the field you aspire to and seeking their advice. Whatever it may be, take that step today and maintain your belief in yourself. I'd like to share another story, this time about Maria, a woman who uncovered the importance of patience, learning, and persistence, even when life took unexpected turns. Her journey serves as a vital reminder that even in tough times, there is always a way to move ahead. Maria's journey. Maria grew up in a small town with big aspirations. From an early age, she adored books and dreamed of becoming a teacher, envisioning herself in front of a classroom helping students learn and grow. However, life had different plans. After high school, her family couldn't afford college tuition, forcing Maria to work right away to support her younger siblings. Initially, she found a job at a local grocery store. It wasn't her original plan, but she reassured herself, "This is just temporary. I'll save some money and return to school." However, as time went on, life became more demanding. Maria's responsibilities multiplied. Her siblings needed schooling assistance, her parents aged, and suddenly, years slipped away. She felt trapped in a routine of long hours, bill payments, and the fear of abandoning her dream of teaching. One day, a customer in the grocery store struggled to count their change. He was an elderly man who seemed bewildered by the coins before him. Maria smiled and kindly assisted him. "Grateful," he said. "You have a lot of patience, young lady. You'd make a wonderful teacher." Maria laughed and replied, "That was my dream, but life took a different route." The man nodded and replied, "Life rarely follows a straight path, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep moving." Those words resonated deeply with Maria. Later that night, she lay in bed reflecting on them. She realized that although she couldn't attend college full-time, there might be another option. The next day, she began researching online courses and found a program that allowed her to study at her own pace, and she enrolled. In the beginning, it was tough. After working long hours, she would return home, prepare dinner, and then study late into the night. At times, she felt drained and considered quitting. Yet, whenever she felt like giving up, she recalled the old man's advice. Life never takes a straight path, but that doesn't mean you should stop walking. Gradually, Maria progressed. She successfully completed her first course, then another, and another. After 2 years of evening and weekend classes, she finally earned her teaching certificate. When the certificate arrived in the mail, she cried. Years of effort had paid off. She quickly applied for jobs at local schools. Initially, she faced several rejections due to tough competition. Nevertheless, she persisted, kept learning, and continued believing in herself. Eventually, she scored an interview at a small primary school. Nervously walking into the principal's office, she was met with the question, "You've spent years working at a grocery store. What prompted your desire to become a teacher now?" Taking a deep breath, Maria replied, "I've wanted to be a teacher my whole life. It just took me a bit longer to get here." The principal smiled, and Maria was hired, not just anywhere, but for a class of students who faced the greatest challenges. The school believed that her struggles would allow her to connect with them uniquely. Her first day teaching was unforgettable. As she stood before her students, gazing at their eager faces, she realized she had finally arrived at her destination. Though the road had been long, she was exactly where she was meant to be. Maria's story powerfully reminds us that even when life veers off course, we must never abandon our dreams. Sometimes we need to take a different route, work harder, wait longer, and navigate obstacles. But as long as we keep moving forward, we can accomplish our goals. Reflection. Consider this. What dream have you set aside? Perhaps you believe it's too late, too daunting, or that you lack the time. Maria's journey illustrates that steady, small efforts can culminate in remarkable achievements. Take a moment to reflect. What is something you've always aspired to do but have yet to start? Identify a minor action you can take today to get closer to that ambition. Even if immediate results aren't visible, every effort matters. Each minute spent acquiring new knowledge, practicing a skill, and overcoming self-doubt contributes to your progress. Maria didn't become a teacher instantly. It took years of dedication, but her perseverance eventually led her to fulfill her lifelong dream. Daniel's determination. Now let's explore persistence and learning further through the story of a man named Daniel. His experience exemplifies how determination and effective learning techniques can enable you to master a skill, regardless of starting point. Daniel grew up in a small town where English was rarely spoken. He admired multilingual individuals, especially those who spoke English, and dreamt of traveling, working abroad, and connecting with diverse cultures. However, he faced a significant hurdle. Language learning was a struggle for him. In school, English was his weakest subject. Despite his efforts, he couldn't retain vocabulary or decipher grammar puzzles. He was embarrassed to read aloud, as his classmates laughed at his mispronunciations, and his teacher grew frustrated with him. Eventually, Daniel convinced himself that he simply lacked talent for languages. After graduating, he forgot about English for years while working as a mechanic, which made him content. Still, he longed to learn English to watch movies without subtitles, travel freely, and converse with people from other nations. Yet every time he considered trying again, he recalled his school struggles and told himself, "I'm just not good at this." Then an unexpected event occurred. One day, a tourist's vehicle broke down nearby. The Canadian tourist struggled to explain the issue without speaking Daniel's language. Daniel was anxious. He wished to help but could barely grasp the man's words. He wrestled with finding appropriate responses. Frustrated, he realized he wanted to express more, but his English fell short. That night, Daniel reflected on that interaction. He understood that his poor English proficiency stemmed not from a lack of ability, but from having never learned effectively. He had been memorizing words from textbooks without practicing speaking, listening, or applying English in real-life contexts. Consequently, Daniel resolved to learn English again, but with a different approach. He decided to prioritize real-world English rather than just memorizing grammar and vocabulary. He began by listening to English podcasts while working in his shop each morning. Initially, he struggled to comprehend much. The rapid speech overwhelmed him, and he missed essential information. Nevertheless, he persisted. Daily, he learned new words without stressing over full comprehension. He allowed his ears to acclimate to the sounds of English. He then transitioned to speaking. Instead of trying to memorize complex phrases, he started with simple sentences. He rehearsed introducing himself. "Hi, my name is Daniel. I am a mechanic. I fix cars." He repeated this until it felt natural and gradually added more information. "I live in a small town. I have been a mechanic for 5 years." Each day he included a bit more detail, talking to himself as he worked, simulating discussions with English-speaking customers. He didn't fret about errors. He aimed to feel comfortable speaking. Months later, something remarkable occurred. Another tourist visited his shop, an American couple needing assistance with their vehicle. Daniel managed to engage them in a basic conversation, understanding their problem, explaining the necessary repairs, and even making small talk. The couple remarked, "Your English is quite good." Daniel was taken aback, recalling how he once feared speaking even a single sentence. Now he was conversing with real people. Yet he didn't stop there. He wanted to enhance his skills further, prompting him to seek an online language exchange partner, someone learning his native language and interested in practicing English with him. They met via video calls twice a week. The initial conversations felt awkward. He made numerous mistakes and occasionally struggled to complete sentences. However, a year after he began, Daniel's life transformed completely. He could watch movies without subtitles, understand English songs, and hold conversations with tourists confidently. He even assisted his younger cousin in learning English. Daniel's experience proves that no one is inherently bad at languages. The issue lies not in ability but in approach. If you attempt to learn English by merely memorizing extensive word lists and studying grammar rules without engaging in real communication, you'll find it challenging. Conversely, emphasizing listening, speaking, and applying English in everyday situations will significantly accelerate your improvement. Learning consistently. Let me ask you, how are you currently learning English? Are you concentrating too heavily on textbooks instead of engaging in real conversations? Are you listening to English daily, even if you don't grasp everything? I urge you to reflect on your learning strategies. If you feel stagnant, perhaps it's time for a change. Make it a habit to listen to English every day, even if for just 10 minutes. Practice speaking out loud, even if you're by yourself. Don't fear making mistakes. Keep in mind that mistakes aren't failures. They are indicators of progress. If Daniel could transform from struggling in school to confidently speaking English within a year, you can do the same. The secret is consistency. A small amount of practice each day accumulates over time. Keep pushing forward, and soon you'll notice the results. Now let's explore the concept of challenging yourself and making progress, even if it initially feels uncomfortable. I want to share another personal story about my journey in acquiring a new skill, learning to play the guitar. My guitar journey. Initially, I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know which strings to press or how to hold the pick. All I knew was that I wanted to learn because I loved music. When I first picked up the guitar, my fingers felt stiff, and nothing sounded correct. It was incredibly frustrating. Every strum produced a sound that was either too high-pitched or too low, and I felt like I was failing. There were times I considered quitting. This is too difficult. I'll never succeed. But then I recalled that learning something new requires time. It's not about being perfect from the start. It's about gradual improvement, step by step. I understood that if I wanted to progress, I had to persevere. Thus, I committed to practice every day, even if it was just for 10 minutes. In the beginning, those 10 minutes felt lengthy. My fingers hurt, and the songs I wished to play sounded awful. Yet I persisted. I didn't dwell on how poorly I played. Instead, I celebrated small victories, like achieving a clear sound from my first chord or successfully playing a simple melody without errors. As time passed, I noticed my fingers began to move with more ease. The pain subsided, and my confidence increased. After a few months, I could strum simple songs without overthinking. They were still far from perfect, but I was making progress, which was enough for me. One day, while hanging out with friends, one of them handed me a guitar and encouraged me to play something. For the first time, I felt at ease doing so in front of others. I played a song I had practiced, and to my surprise, everyone enjoyed it. They said I sounded fantastic, and I felt a sense of pride. The importance of persistence. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Improvement doesn't happen instantly. However, with determination, you can accomplish things you never imagined. This story serves as a great reminder for anyone learning English. In the beginning, it can be tough. You might make errors and feel like you're not making any headway. But like with the guitar, your improvement will come. The crucial point is to remain consistent and celebrate the little victories you achieve along the way. If you can say one sentence without hesitating, that's a win. If you comprehend a new phrase during a conversation, that's advancement. Another notable example is my friend Sarah, who became fluent in English within a few years. When she first began, she struggled to form sentences. She felt embarrassed and disheartened. However, she chose to try a different method. Instead of solely concentrating on grammar or vocabulary, she started using English in everyday situations. Sarah joined an international language learner community and engaged in conversations daily with people globally. Sometimes her conversations were awkward, and she made mistakes, but rather than letting it discourage her, she viewed those mistakes as chances to learn. There was a time when she spoke with a native speaker and completely misspoke. She intended to say, "I enjoy reading books," but instead she said, "I enjoy book read." It was a silly mistake, and she could feel her face turning red. But instead of being embarrassed, she laughed at herself. The individual Sarah was conversing with didn't even notice her error. They simply carried on with their discussion. Later, Sarah thought about the incident and understood that no one was critiquing her. What truly mattered was that she conveyed her idea. She didn't allow one mistake to deter her from speaking again. In fact, that experience boosted her confidence to keep practicing, and gradually her English got better. She began to speak more smoothly, and before she realized it, she was engaging in full conversations with native speakers. I made some errors. I chose the wrong word a few times, but nobody minded. They were just glad I was attempting to communicate, she remarked. In fact, one of the individuals she encountered praised her effort, saying, "Your English is wonderful, and I genuinely admire your effort to speak with me." That moment was incredibly significant for her. It reminded her that learning a language is a journey, and every step is vital. No one is flawless, and the key is to keep making progress. Just as I enhanced my English by conversing with folks at the conference, you too can improve by incorporating English into your everyday life. Now let's briefly explore how you can simplify this journey. It involves setting small, attainable goals. Don't aim for overnight fluency. Establish realistic objectives like having a brief conversation with a friend in English, listening to an English podcast for 10 minutes daily, or writing a few sentences in English each night. By setting small goals, you'll experience a sense of accomplishment with each one, which will keep you inspired. If you ever feel stuck, remember that progress doesn't happen all at once. Taking your time is perfectly fine. What matters is that you persist, even when it seems tough. If you integrate learning English into your regular routine, you will soon notice improvements that will astonish you. And keep in mind, each step you take brings you closer to your goal. creating an English environment. Now let's consider how we can incorporate this type of practice into our daily lives. It's simple to say, "I'll speak more in English." But what does that truly entail? Here are some straightforward, practical methods to start using English every day. Talk to yourself in English. Although it may sound a bit odd initially, it's effective. Try expressing your thoughts in English about your day, your activities, or your plans. Even if it's just a few sentences, the more you get accustomed to speaking, the easier it will become when engaging with others. Find a conversation partner. If there's no one around you who speaks English, search online for language exchange partners. You can discover individuals who want to learn your native language while you practice speaking English with them. This is an excellent way to become comfortable speaking without feeling pressured. Join a language learning group. Many cities have groups that gather to practice languages. If you can't find one in person, there are numerous online groups available. These typically provide a supportive and welcoming environment, offering a fantastic opportunity to practice speaking without pressure. Utilize language apps. There are several apps designed to connect you with people for speaking practice. For instance, applications like HelloTalk or Tandem enable you to converse with native speakers and other learners, making it a fun way to practice and learn simultaneously. Watch TV shows or movies in English. Observe how people communicate. Try repeating sentences out loud or mimicking their speech patterns. This helps you acclimatize to the rhythm and pronunciation of the language. You can start with subtitles in your native language and progressively switch to English subtitles as you improve. Take notes in English. When writing in English, whether it's just a shopping list or notes for work or school, aim to write in English as much as possible. This enhances both your writing skills and vocabulary. Real-life practice. Let's discuss another example of utilizing real-life practice to enhance English. I recently had the opportunity to collaborate with an international team on a project. This presented a significant challenge for me because, although I could speak English, I wasn't accustomed to discussing business topics in English. The initial meetings were awkward, and I was anxious about not understanding everything or saying something incorrect. However, as the project progressed, I began to feel more at ease. I asked questions whenever I didn't grasp something, and I made sure to clarify anything confusing. My teammates were very encouraging and weren't bothered by my mistakes. Gradually, I started to grasp the business terminology and speak more confidently during meetings. One lesson I took from this experience is how crucial it is to adapt to different contexts. In this situation, business English was foreign to me, so I had to learn the specific vocabulary and expressions related to that context. Just as you may need to learn vocabulary for discussing cooking or travel in English, you will need to tailor your language to fit various situations. It's easy to concentrate on general English skills such as grammar and vocabulary, but don't forget there are numerous types of English suited for different contexts. The more you expose yourself to various scenarios, the more fluent and comfortable you will become. The importance of feedback. I want to highlight the significance of feedback. Often, we may not notice our mistakes until someone brings them to our attention. When I began speaking English more often, I was apprehensive about receiving feedback due to my fear of making errors. However, the more feedback I received, the quicker I improved. Others were able to correct my pronunciation, identify grammar mistakes, and offer suggestions to make my speech sound more natural. Having discussed the value of making mistakes and persevering through tough moments, let's delve into another crucial element of language learning: confidence. A major obstacle that learners, myself included, encounter is feeling assured enough to speak, particularly in real-life scenarios. We can possess extensive knowledge, but if we are too intimidated to utilize it, it's not very beneficial. I recall my first experience speaking in front of a group in English during a work presentation. I had meticulously prepared, memorized key points, and arranged my slides. However, as soon as I faced the audience, my mind went blank. My palms were sweaty, and my heart was racing. It truly tested my confidence. In that moment, I recalled something I had previously learned. Confidence is developed through action. It doesn't stem from merely knowing the language, but from consistently using it, even in uncomfortable situations. So, I took a deep breath and began to speak. I didn't dwell on my fear but rather concentrated on the message I aimed to convey. I refused to let minor mistakes hinder me. In fact, I didn't allow anything to deter me. And guess what? The audience reacted positively. They valued the content and were not fixated on my errors. They were more concerned with the message I was sharing. By the conclusion of the presentation, I felt a tremendous sense of achievement, and more importantly, my confidence soared. That experience imparted an invaluable lesson. Confidence arises from action, not just awareness. The more you practice, the more self-assured you will become, implementing confidence in your learning journey. Now let's consider how you can incorporate this into your English learning journey. For numerous learners, the anxiety of speaking before others can be overwhelming. But what if you altered your perspective? Instead of fearing mistakes, view each interaction as a growth opportunity. Even if you are conversing with another English learner, it's a chance to practice, enhance, and build confidence. Allow me to share another instance. This one illustrates how I overcame my reluctance to make phone calls in English. I used to shy away from calling anyone in English, whether it was for making a reservation or seeking information. Just thinking about the chance of making a mistake made me anxious. Yet, I realized that avoiding these situations wouldn't aid my improvement. So one day, I resolved to make a call. It was a minor task. I was contacting a customer service line to inquire about an order. However, it was a significant step for me. I dialed the number, and when the person answered, I felt my heart racing. I took a deep breath and introduced myself in English. The person responded, and I initiated the conversation. Although I made an error in one of the phrases, it didn't matter. The individual was courteous and understanding, and we were able to complete the call smoothly. That call marked a turning point for me. It demonstrated that making phone calls in English was not as daunting as I had envisioned. In fact, afterwards I made additional calls, both small and larger ones. With each occurrence, I became increasingly comfortable, and my English improved with every call. This perfectly illustrates why real-life practice is essential in language acquisition. When we engage in actual situations, we learn to handle the pressure of speaking, which accelerates our improvement. It's not solely about having flawless grammar or pronunciation. The key is to communicate effectively. Initially, I felt it was a personal attack and was embarrassed, but as time passed, I recognized that feedback is a valuable gift. It enabled me to enhance my speaking skills and made me more conscious of the areas needing improvement. Embrace feedback. It's a crucial component of the learning journey. Conclusion. So what's your take? Are you prepared to elevate your English skills? The path may not always be straightforward, but keep in mind that every step you take brings you closer to your objectives. No matter if you're speaking, listening, reading, or writing, there are always chances to enhance your abilities. As we move forward, let's pause to appreciate all the progress you've achieved thus far. It's easy to overlook your growth, particularly when you're focused on your next target. However, if you reflect back, you'll likely see how much you've accomplished, which is certainly worth celebrating. Up to this point, we've discussed a lot about the emotional aspects of learning English, like conquering fear and building confidence. Now, I wish to delve deeper into a particular issue that many learners face: consistency. This has been fundamental to my success in language acquisition. Without consistent effort, progress can stall, and it's simple to become demotivated. Yet when we commit to small daily actions, even just for a few minutes, the outcomes are significant. I recall when I first began to take English learning seriously. In the beginning, I would study diligently for several days, then take a week off, and then resume. I thought this method would yield results because I was studying intensively during those periods. However, after several months, I realized my improvement wasn't as substantial as I desired. It was disheartening because I felt I was exerting so much effort with minimal visible results. Then, I discovered a straightforward but transformative idea. Small daily habits can lead to significant outcomes. Instead of long, exhausting study sessions, I committed to just 15 to 20 minutes each day for English learning. Initially, it seemed like little time, but gradually I began to notice my progress. The crucial factor wasn't how long I studied, but the regularity of those sessions. I started by setting a small, attainable goal for each day. For instance, I decided to learn 5 new words daily. Sometimes, it was merely reviewing vocabulary or practicing sentences I'd already learned. Over time, these small activities accumulated, and I saw a noticeable improvement in my vocabulary and fluency. The best part was that it felt integrated into my routine rather than feeling like a chore. Now, whenever I encounter someone learning a new language, I motivate them to incorporate small, consistent habits into their daily life. This approach is far more effective than cramming for hours just once a week. Even on days when motivation is lacking, performing a little bit can lead to substantial long-term benefits. For example, consider introducing a simple habit into your routine. Perhaps you could start by listening to an English podcast while preparing in the morning or during your walk. There's no need to spend hours studying. Simply listening to a podcast or watching a brief video in English can enhance your listening skills over time. Even if you don't grasp every word, you're training your ear to recognize the sounds and rhythms of the language. Speaking of listening, one of the most effective methods to improve your English is by engaging with content that resonates with you. I enjoy listening to podcasts that cover subjects I'm passionate about since I'm more likely to remain engaged. For example, I tune into podcasts about personal growth, technology, and cooking. These topics fascinate me, increasing my likelihood of continuous listening and vocabulary acquisition. Listening to real-life content such as interviews, stories, or discussions can greatly aid in acclimatizing you to how native speakers utilize the language. They often speak quickly, employ slang, and occasionally overlook strict grammar rules, yet they communicate effectively. And that's the ultimate goal, right? To convey ideas. The more you expose yourself to authentic conversations, the more accustomed you'll become to the natural flow of language, enhancing both your speaking and listening skills. Another effective technique for boosting your listening is to repeat what you hear. This strategy significantly helped me. After listening to a podcast or watching an English video, I revisit and repeat some sentences or phrases I've heard. This practice improves my pronunciation and helps me recall useful phrases to incorporate into my conversations. Sometimes, I even record myself and listen to assess how closely I match the original pronunciation. Initially, it feels a bit awkward, but it becomes more natural over time. For instance, I initially struggled with understanding fast-paced conversations in English, particularly when people used varied accents. However, I persevered. I began to listen to podcasts and TV shows featuring a range of accents: American, British, Australian, and Irish. Initially, it was tough to catch everything, but with continued listening, I improved my ability to discern different sounds and phrases. Gradually, I found myself understanding more, even in rapid conversations or strong accents. This experience taught me the importance of exposing myself to different accents and speaking styles, which also boosted my confidence in real-life conversations. While listening is crucial, speaking is another area where many learners find challenges. It's common to feel anxious or shy when using a new language, but I want to share a helpful tip. Don't hesitate to speak slowly. One major mistake I made early on was trying to speak quickly to appear more fluent. However, the truth is that speaking slowly and clearly is far more effective. It's essential to ensure that you're understood rather than focusing on speed. Don't stress about sounding like a native speaker immediately. Instead, concentrate on clear and accurate communication. With time, fluency will come. But at the start, it's entirely acceptable to take your time and speak at a slower pace. I also want to address the importance of setting realistic goals for yourself. While it's fantastic to be motivated, setting overly ambitious goals can lead to frustration. For instance, when I began learning English, I aimed to be fluent within 6 months. I quickly learned that achieving fluency takes years of dedicated practice. Rather than fixating on the end goal, I shifted my focus to smaller milestones. I set targets such as learning 10 new words weekly, or engaging in a 10-minute conversation in English each day. These minor goals kept me motivated and provided a sense of accomplishment. Staying motivated. If you're finding it hard to maintain motivation, here are some strategies that worked for me. 1. Track your progress. Maintain a journal or make notes on your phone regarding your daily learning. It's easy to overlook your progress, but reflecting on it can be very encouraging. 2. Celebrate small victories. Take time to acknowledge your achievements, whether it's comprehending a challenging podcast or completing a speaking exercise. This helps keep your motivation high and reminds you that you're making progress. 3. Stay curious. Continue exploring new subjects in English. If you enjoy cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If sports excite you, listen to sports commentary in English. The more enjoyable the content, the more driven you'll be to learn. 4. Find a study buddy. Practicing with a partner can make learning significantly more enjoyable. You can speak with a friend, join a study group, or find an online language partner. This approach increases accountability and allows for collaborative learning. 5. Practice writing in English. While many learners prioritize speaking and listening, writing is equally important. It enables you to practice grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure. Even composing short texts like emails or messages can reinforce your knowledge. 6. Write without fearing mistakes. A crucial piece of advice about writing is to do so without obsessing over mistakes. Initially, I spent hours refining each sentence for perfection, which actually hindered my progress. I learned that it's more crucial to jot down your ideas first and worry about corrections later. The more writing practice you have, the more you will instinctively use correct grammar and vocabulary, creating an English environment. Thus far, we've discussed various methods to enhance your listening, speaking, and writing skills in English. Now, I want to delve deeper into how to establish a setting that fosters ongoing English practice. Studying English is one thing, but making it a natural component of your daily life is another. Trust me, this is one of the most effective measures to expedite your language goals. When I first began learning English, I didn't solely focus on grammar or vocabulary. I actively sought to immerse myself in the language as much as possible. I discovered that it wasn't just about studying the language but living it. Here are some straightforward yet impactful strategies to create your own English language environment. 1. Change your phone settings to English. This may seem simple, but it is extremely effective. Each time you use your phone, you will encounter English. Whether checking notifications, browsing social media, or messaging, everything will be in English. Initially, it might be somewhat confusing, but over time, you'll start recognizing words and phrases, providing an excellent opportunity to learn new vocabulary in a natural, real-world setting. Watch movies and TV shows in English. However, I added an element by using English subtitles while watching. This approach helped me link spoken words to written ones, enhancing both my listening and reading abilities. I suggest starting with programs you already love. The crucial aspect is to engage with content that captivates you. Watching something that seems dull or challenging may lead to discouragement. Listen to podcasts and audiobooks. Engaging with podcasts that align with your interests can effectively immerse you in English. Select subjects you find fascinating and don't hesitate to replay episodes to learn new vocabulary or expressions. Engage in real conversations. Look for chances to talk with others. This could involve language exchange programs, participating in English-speaking groups, or conversing with friends. Genuine conversations are the most effective way to enhance your listening and speaking proficiency. Practice shadowing. Shadowing involves repeating what you hear straight away after hearing it. This technique aids in refining your pronunciation, rhythm, and overall fluency. I frequently listened to English news broadcasts or podcasts and echoed what the speaker said. Initially, it was challenging to keep pace, but over time, it significantly boosted my confidence in speaking English. Be patient and consistent. Keep in mind that learning a language is a long-term commitment rather than a quick endeavor. Even minor advancements can have a significant impact over time. In the early stages of my journey, I felt disheartened when I struggled to grasp everything. Nevertheless, I persevered and gradually, my listening and speaking abilities improved. By fostering an environment conducive to English practice, immersing yourself in authentic content, and consistently honing your speaking and listening skills, you will notice substantial progress in your language abilities. The essential factor is to remain motivated and practice daily, no matter how small the steps may appear. Final thoughts. In summary, recognize that you possess the ability to carve your own path. With every step, you are moving closer to the life you've always envisioned. Embrace the journey, learn from your missteps, and acknowledge your achievements. You have the potential to reach your goals, and I look forward to seeing how far you will go. Thank you for being part of this episode of the English Pod community. Continue practicing, believe in yourself, and remember, every small step matters.